Okay, I'm going to help you make sense of the NBA fantasy waiver wire because it can be a bit confusing. Here are the waiver wire targets that you need to pay attention to for week 8 of the NBA season. Trey Murphy. Trey Murphy is rostered in 17% of ESPN leagues. That is way too low. He should be added on all platforms, all league types, category leagues, points leagues. This is a red alert. Go out there and make sure he is not sitting on your waiver wire. CBS says he hit double-digit scoring every time he played at least 20 minutes, and he scored 20-plus points in 3 straight games. He's turning into one of the most elite marksmen in the game. Make sure you go get you a piece of Trey Murphy. Kyle Anderson. Kyle Anderson is rostered in 33% of Yahoo leagues, which is way too low. With Karl-Anthony Towns out, there's going to be tons of opportunity for him to shine. He was even in the starting lineup, so I would imagine he's going to continue to pump out tons of value while Cat is out. From the Detroit Pistons, Killian Hayes. Killian Hayes is averaging 16.5 points and 7.8 assists over the last 4 games. Cade Cunningham might be back soon. However, Killian Hayes is carving out a decent role for himself. I would give him a shot if he's available on your waivers. Markelle Fultz, the former #1 pick, is back from injury. He's rostered in 44% of Yahoo leagues, and I think he could provide some value in category leagues for assists. Karis LeVert. Definitely not the sexiest name that we have here. However, he's averaging 11.9 points, 4.7 rebounds, 4.7 assists, 1.3 three-pointers. I think he can provide some value for streaming, so I would pick him up and drop him if you need to. TJ McConnell, he's only rostered in 12% of Yahoo leagues. With Tyrese Halliburton out and us not knowing how long he's going to be out, McConnell could turn into one of the league leaders for assists. So in category leagues, he's a must grab. See what happens and see if he can help you win this week. Malik Monk, he's rostered in 42% of Yahoo leagues, and he's having a pretty decent season. He's averaging 14.6 points per game, 4.4 assists per game. His field goal percentage is 48.8, and his free throw percentage 89.1. He could really help you out in category leagues. Jalen Noel from the Minnesota Timberwolves. With Karl-Anthony Towns out, again, there's more opportunities for folks. He can contribute with three-pointers, steals, rebounds, the work. So I would give him a shot for points leagues and category leagues. By the way, I'm Robin Marks from Game Pick Fantasy Basketball. You can connect with me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Game Pick Podcast. If you love fantasy sports, please consider subscribing to the channel. Now let's talk buy lows and sell highs. We'll start off with the buy lows. The first guy we want to talk about is Jamal Murray. We've been waiting for this. Many of us who play Dynasty know that we've been keeping Jamal Murray in our IR spot for a couple of years, waiting for him to come back since the bubble performance. And now he's kind of getting into his rhythm. I would go ahead and make an offer and see if you could buy low on Jamal Murray now before he explodes. Kelly Oubre Jr. from the Charlotte Hornets is going off. He's averaged 21.3 points, 5.3 rebounds, and 33 minutes per game in the month of November. What I would do is see if you could make a deal for him based on his lack of name value. People still look at him like a waiver wire guy. You could take advantage of that. So I would just suggest sending out some offers and see if you can bring him back to your squad. A few more buy lows. Paolo Banchero. I think since he came back from injury, people are kind of down on him. He hasn't been performing at the level that we saw early on in the season. So I think this could be a good opportunity for you to snatch him up on the cheap. Fred VanVleet, usually one of the most consistent fantasy performers that we have in the league. He's having a slump right now. Take advantage of it. See if you can send over a couple of your bottom tier players to see if you can bring them over to your squad. This one is a dynasty buy low. Trey Jones from the San Antonio Spurs. Think about Tony Parker. Think about DeJounte Murray last year. Greg Popovich has a way of molding these point guards, and Trey has been going off on the low. 12 points per game, 7.1 assists per game, and 1.5 steals per game. He could make for the point guard of the future for the San Antonio Spurs. I would grab him in Dynasty. And you know I love injury buy lows. Karl-Anthony Towns is my #1 injured guy that you want to target. Send over some offers. See if you could get him for a deal. Another guy I'm looking at, Michael Porter Jr. Not sure if he's going to bounce back, but I would take a risk if you could send your worst 2 players to get him on your roster and throw him in your IR. I would go for it. Now let's talk about sell highs. Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert is going to get tons of production while Karl-Anthony Towns is out. However, I think this is an opportunity for you to move him out and maybe sell high and bring back some first round, second round value. OG Anunoby. OG is going off. Do I think it'll last? Maybe. However, I think it's an opportunity. You could probably bring back some serious value if you packaged him in with another guy. He's averaging 19 points per game, 6 rebounds, 2.2 assists, 2.2 steals, and 1 block per game. He's providing so much value for category leagues and points leagues. I would sell high on OG right now. And a couple of names that you're familiar with, Klay Thompson and Draymond Green. I think they're both sell highs. They're having a good little run, especially Draymond. Draymond's field goal percentage is out of this world right now. So in category leagues, you can definitely make a move to sell high on Draymond Green. Next up, we want to answer your questions. We're going to do the Q&A from our Discord server. But before we do that, I want to talk about Owner's Box. Owner's Box is an official sponsor of the Game Pick podcast, and we want to highlight their new one-of-a-kind fantasy sports format, Lightning Lineups. All you have to do is spin, pick, and win. Sign up right now and use the promo code GamePickPodcast. Owner's Box will match your first deposit up to $500. This is one of the largest deposit matches in the industry. Don't miss out. To sign up, download the Owner's Box app on Android or iOS, and don't forget to use the promo code GamePickPodcast. Let's jump into the Q&A from our Discord. The first question is from Brett HD3. He says, thanks. Just got smacked by a team who somehow had a bunch of now all-stars, and I had like KD, DeMar, and a couple more up-and-coming stars. So what I was wondering is, should I sell my depth for stars or keep them for the long run and see what happens? I love this question, Brett. Thank you so much. So listen, I believe in building top-heavy rosters. That's just how I roll. I like to have, players like KD, players like Trae Young, players like Joel Embiid at the top of my roster. So essentially, I would trade you like Jamal Murray and OG Anunoby to get a KD. And I'll keep doing that until all I have is 4 or 5 stars and, some scrubs on the bench. However, depending on your opponents, that might not work. And also, if you're not really savvy on the waiver wire, it won't work. It's a strategy that works if you're super waiver wire savvy and you can take advantage of finding out who's hot, because you can find the next star right there on the waiver wire. But if you don't know how to take advantage of the the people in the player pool, then you just might have a bunch of really good stars and not enough weapons to win the game. Great question. The next question is from Eli Affinity. He says, is it time to just drop Cade? Dealing with lots of injury problems right now and doesn't seem like he's coming back anytime soon. So for me, you got to tough it out. If you're in a position where maybe you are, below 500 by 3 or 4 games or something like that, then maybe this is an opportunity for you to maybe sell him, trade him away. But I would not drop Cade Cunningham. If you have an IR spot, he would be my priority to put there. I'd consider dropping some of those other players until we have solid news. I've heard rumors that he's going to be out for the season, but I haven't seen anything official from the NBA or the Detroit Pistons. I'm going to say hold Cade. The next question is from McShown. He wants to know, what are my thoughts on Marvin Bagley? Listen, this guy was a lottery draft pick. This guy had so much potential. However, he has not performed. We finally are seeing a little glimpse of what could be in terms of his potential. So what do I think? I think you ride it out. If you have Bagley, you're going to have a couple of games where he doesn't do well. If you can manage it to keep him on your team, to keep him as your maybe third to last best player or something like that, then I do it. However, if he has a slump, especially a couple of games, and you're in a pinch, you got to drop him and just move on. Great question. And the last question is from Aussie Boomers. Big shout out to Aussie Boomers, one of our OG members of the Game Pick community. He wants to know, is TJ Warren a good pickup? Maybe. And I don't know if you guys know the history of TJ Warren, but TJ Warren hasn't played NBA basketball in, I want to say 2 or 3 seasons. It's been wild long. He was playing with the Indiana Pacers the last time I had him playing in fantasy. However, when he was in Phoenix, he used to go off. TJ Warren is a strong fantasy contributor. However, I haven't seen it. So I say maybe he could be a good pickup because you might have to wait until he ramps up, right? A guy's been out for 2 years. Like, they're not going to throw him in for 30 minutes a game. You know what I'm saying? So if you have a good record and you're in a good position where you can keep someone on your roster that maybe won't be able to help you win right now, but maybe for the playoffs he will, then I would go ahead and grab him and just see what happens. And this is very important. If you need help with your fantasy team, trades, all of that good stuff, like who do I pick up? Should I make this trade? Drop a comment. I answer every single comment for these videos now. So if you're watching this on YouTube, drop a comment. If you're listening to it, go to YouTube and you can leave your comment. I will answer your question for this week, week 8, right up until the last games on Sunday. Also, you have to join our private Discord server. To join, all you have to do is hit the link in the description of this episode. Bang on that subscribe button, hit us with a thumbs up, and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. And don't forget, play the waivers, set your lineups, and check out another episode, you freaking fantasy nerd.